Hey guys, so I'm going to color this Disney princess in. Well, not really a Disney princess because I didn't look at any princesses, but I just finished up a project where I had to do a lot of Disney princesses and I wanted to make a black princess, an African American princess. But I didn't want to reference, the Princess and the Frog. I didn't reference any of that. I just wanted to do one on my own. So I'm going to show you the time lapse because I didn't record my sketching process, but I will record the physical coloring in and doing the line work of this princess. The canvas is 3000 by 3000, 300 dpi. Maximum is 89 layers. Right now I have 87 layers available, and so far the sketch has taken me an hour and 2 hours, essentially. And let me warn you, it's going to look terrible because when I'm sketching, the rough sketches really are horrific sometimes. But that's just part of the, that's part of the deal. What really helps me sometimes is to start with the eyes. I know that traditionally you should start with like a circle for the head and things like that. But for some reason, I tend to do a little bit better when I start with the eyes and then kind of shape the head around it. And as you can see, I do a lot of reshaping of the eyes, a lot of reshaping as the head, just as things sort of come together. The more information I put down on the canvas, the more that I can sort of find the shapes and the look that I'm looking for. But it does take a while to really figure that out. And by now I'm happy with the face, I'm happy with the eyes, and then it's just figuring out the hair and how I want the hair to be and how I want the hair to sit on the head. I do also struggle with the neck, like coming off the ear, how to do it exactly, and it would help if I used some reference and just sort of did it that way. But I do like to just doodle and just try to see if I can find something nice. I use a lot of reference for animals, and it is also fun for me to just kind of doodle from reference. Just doodle from my imagination, like I've done here. I had some issues with trying to do a lot of these details before I did the figure of the body, so I had to kind of go back and do this general torso shape and then shape the parts of the dress and the hair and stuff afterwards. But again, it's just a lot of trial and error until I get something that I think looks nice. So, and here's our sketch with a little headband on. So that also might change as I do the line work, but we'll see. So firstly, I'm just going to name this lines. And I'm actually going to make another layer above because I always do the eyes and the nose and the beginning parts of the mouth on a separate layer. And also I'm gonna lower the opacity of the sketch. So I'm gonna use Disney ink, which is, I think it's like a flat brush that I just kind of tweaked. But again, you can always download my brushes if you want to use them. And let's start with the eyes. Now sometimes it's a bit difficult to sort of capture what you do in a sketch in the line work because there's a lot less information in the line work. Sketches are really fun and loose, but with Disney style, it's very simple. So when I'm doing my line work, I just try to remember to simplify as much as I can. And line weight is also something that the more you do it, the more you'll sort of learn about the distribution of line weight, which lines to make more heavier, thicker, because it really does make a difference. And the only way you'll really get it is just practice. And also drawing from reference. If you draw some Disney characters, and if you really study references, then you'll see what the artists are doing and why they're doing it. Make my brush a little smaller. Now with the nose, it's very tricky. I tend to stay away from a lot of the black lines, and more of this detail I'll come back with later and do it with a different color. Because the nose actually doesn't have any really dark contours, except for maybe sometimes the nostrils. So a lot of people, when they do noses, they don't look right because there isn't a lot of like black lines here. There isn't a lot of, a lot of this stuff is just shadows and shapes. So that's why you have to be careful with noses, and usually the less detail you put in with black, the better. So I'll come back and I'll do the bottom lip later, because mostly the lips I do with two different colors. I don't usually add a lot of black to the lips, but so I just started my first color here. I'll just do a color drop and change that later. But for the most part, this is pretty good for the eyes, nose, and mouth. So now I'll go to the regular lines and just line up everything else. As you can see, for the eyes, I do a very light line because I might even get rid of it later, but I don't want a very dark line for the eyes. Actually, I can make my brush a little bit bigger here, just so I can have more play with my line works. How's that look? Sometimes I really have to make sure that my lines are looking good. Now I'll do the headband. Her little ear. Maybe I'll give her an earring at the end. A lot of times I try to get these in one swoop. Kind of makes them look nicer. Most of the times, it really just helps to just stay simple. And one thing that you can't see that I'm doing here is when I make these lines, I have a little bit more pressure, and then I'm letting off the pressure as I get to the end of the line to get that nice taper. And again, that's something that you just have to work on, and eventually it'll just get easier and easier. You won't really think about it. One thing I didn't do was sort of figure out how to get this hair looking the way that I actually envisioned it. Yeah, hair is always a bit tricky to sort of figure out how to sort of imply. Ooh, a nice curl there would be nice. I'm going to try that on a layer, a new layer. That way I can easily, just go to the lines layer and erase as needed. So some lines I'll just put on a different layer like that. Let's see. I think that looks fine. So I'm going to add the eyebrows, I think, on a new layer above the face details. And I'm just going to use Sketchmaster 2 because it's a little thicker, and I mean, I could use the same brush that I used, but I'll use my eraser and just sort of clean it up a little bit. And it's looking okay. They do look a little big. Like, I want her to have thick eyebrows, but you know, they might be a little big, so it's another reason why I put them on a different layer. I'll use Liquify and just sort of just get a little bit more of an arch. So now I'll do my little erase thing that I always do. Just erase with a soft brush. And then switch it to Sketchmaster 1. And then I just get some movement in the eyebrows. Add another layer and just add these little eye details. Anyway, so this is the line art. So let me try to color her in fairly quickly. I just use a color that I can see well, rather than trying to match the color of the skin straight away. I just do a color I can see well, so I don't leave any gaps. And I never do the color fill on my lines. I always do the skin on a different layer. I think it's like the reference layer with the lines. I don't do that. I'll speed this up because this is mostly just coloring inside the lines, and you already know how to do that. And now a new layer for the hair, clothes, just new layers underneath the skin. I want to stay in the lines because I don't have this colored in yet. I don't have the shoulder thing colored in yet. So on the outside, obviously, I want to stay inside the lines. And also, I haven't colored in the headband yet, so that I will stay outside of the lines. But this purple, I've already done the work. It's already here, it's already shaped. So since I'm coloring behind it, since I'm on this layer behind the purple, it doesn't matter. I can go all where there's purple, and it's covered up. So I just come all the way down here, and yeah, I can even go over the green and back to the blue. So if there's no purple there, that's what it would look like. And I'm going to fill this in The hair is filled. This is what it looks like under the purple. But since I have the purple, I just tap on the purple layer, select, then go back to my layers and go back to the blue. So just so you can see what's happening, I'm gonna hide the purple layer. So the purple layer is still selected, but I'm on the blue layer. I'm on this layer. So now when I do three finger swipe down and cut, it just cuts where that purple was. Now you see this green here. So I have to do the same thing. I don't want it to be beyond this line, so I'm going to select the purple. The layer doesn't even have to be visible, so that this layer is invisible, but I can still select it by just tapping and go select. And then I go to the green, three finger swipe down, cut. Now I can go to the green, hit select, then I go back to the blue, three finger swipe down, cut. So I use all of this stuff to crop the other colors as needed. And just to make it easier, I'm going to match this green. I'm just going to do the headband on the same layer. Okay, so now for the eyes, I'm just going to use white, of course. Okay, so I'm going to end this one because this video is already a bit long. So for now, I think she's looking okay, but still a lot of work to do. So I'll see you guys in the next video.